All primary school pupils in this country, as well as those with special education needs, are expected to return to full-time contact learning from today. Plus, 14 suspects arrested in connection with the collapsed VBS Mutual Bank. They're set to appear in the High Court sitting in Pretoria. More than 2 billion rand, you'll remember, was stolen from that institution, leaving thousands of depositors and investors destitute. Let's hone in on one of those headline stories now. Primary school learners are expected to be back in class from today. This is in line with the COVID-19 risk-adjusted strategy, if you like. Yesterday already, Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi saying 57 schools had indicated that they won't be able to accept learners due to social distancing challenges. Tshegohaco Moagi is our reporter on the story. She's live to us now from Kabelo Primary School in Katlehong. That, of course, is in Ekurhuleni. And Tshegohaco, it's taken a long time to finally get here. A pity not everyone is on board still.
That is absolutely true, Ayanda. Good morning to you. And it has taken quite a while for us to get to this point. I mean, you'd remember that initially with the first lockdown last year, I mean, it meant that the department had to find different ways to do things and to ensure that learning does continue somehow. And now with the primary school learners expected back in the classroom today, all of them, it could also pose to be a challenge. As you've mentioned there, the Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi saying yesterday during his press briefing that 57 of the schools in this province will not be able to actually open all, or welcome rather, all their learners, all their primary school learners today. And this is possibly going to be a challenge for a lot of schools actually, Ayanda, and some concerns that have been raised by parents as well about having so many children in one classroom and the issue of social distancing. Of course, this is one of the COVID-19 protocols and one of the needs that needs to be done for COVID-19. But to give us more details about what then happens should schools not be able to welcome back all the learners, I'm joined by Elijah Mhlanga. He's the spokesperson for the Department of Basic Education. Elijah, thank you so much for your time. Now, let us just start off with, we do know that some schools are not able at all to actually welcome back all their learners at the same time. What happens in that regard?
Well, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, maybe before we even get to that question, I would like to indicate that just before we came on air, we received a call that both the minister and MEC will no longer be available to come to the school today as initially planned due to an urgent matter which requires their attention. So I thought I should just make that clear and apologize to those colleagues that we've invited to this place today. But now, back to your question. The return of learners at primary school level today is not forced on schools to implement. We are saying we are implementing what we call the risk-adjusted differentiate strategy, which means that each school, each province, each district will make an assessment of whether they can allow all the learners to return or not. In the case where they are not able to do that, they are free to proceed with the rotation system. So we are not forcing anybody to get back all the learners if the adherence to the protocols are not going to be met. So we are saying safety first, safety first, safety first. So make sure that as a school you are prepared and ready, and indeed you have the resources. If you do not have the resources, then don't request all the learners to come back, continue with the rotation system. But there were schools who were already able to do that, and we're not sure how to handle that situation, and we said therefore that we needed to regularize that arrangement to say that if you are able, whenever it is that you are in a position to get all the learners back, please proceed. That's why we say it's a differentiated strategy. It's not something that is forced on all schools to do.
Elijah, does this then not cause concern for those that aren't able to welcome back all their learners? Because, I mean, the rotational learning, even the department and the NITSCRAM survey have shown that it's just not working.
Well, the rotational system is not working, and it was also not working for those schools who had the resources and the space to have all the learners back. And now with this arrangement, they will be able to freely have those learners back so that they can proceed. But at the same time, we need to make sure that whatever we do, we don't do it at the expense of lives. We want to protect people's lives. It's a difficult situation. We've had to think very hard on what we need to do. And we agree that where it is possible for learning and teaching to proceed with all learners in class, with social distancing being observed at 1 meter, we need to be able to allow those schools to proceed. Where this is not possible, allow those schools too to proceed with the rotation system. That's why we say it's differentiated. So assess your situation, make the right decision, but first and foremost, put lives first.
That then does lead to a bit of a setback for those learners that aren't able to go back full-time to the classroom. We do know that this could actually mean a lot of township schools in themselves, because those are quite full already. And then there's also the issue of connection to internet, or this rotational learning situation. There could be quite another setback that we could possibly be seeing here with this particular cohort of learners.
You're absolutely right. I mean, there will be schools that will be far ahead and others will be left behind. And there will be learners who will not be able to finish and others will finish. Unfortunately, you have to try get the balance somewhere, because the coronavirus is not something that you can say you can predict, basically. You will not be able to do that. But at the same time, we need to do whatever that we can as a department, as a system, to ensure that some form of learning continues. Because already the learning losses are too huge to contemplate, and the researchers are telling us that we are facing a catastrophe going forward. So we can't sit and do nothing. We need to try that which we can try and see how it goes. And as the scientists continue to do their work, maybe there will be a reduction in terms of the social distancing requirement at some point, which we are going to welcome. But right now, we thought we needed to do something that will help those that it needs to help. But rotation as well should continue to help those that it can help. But if there's a situation where others are able to all go back to school, they should be allowed to do that. It's a complex situation. There are no straight answers. We are all working on the basis of what we have to do. Unfortunately, it's lives here that are involved, so we can't compromise. And even in all our engagements with stakeholders, we made it very clear that it's safety first, and safety first.
Elijah, just very briefly, we've run out of time. You've mentioned the 1 meter within the classrooms, yeah. And of course now contact sport is also back, and non-contact sport is back in the schooling system. Yeah, absolutely. We released a government gazette yesterday indicating that sporting activities are allowed, they can take place, and also we made provision for the relaxation of other conditions as well. We hope that this will help stabilize and normalize somewhat the environment in the school and the atmosphere to be attractive again, so that learners can get back to the things that they like to do when they're in school. But in all of those things, they need to remember that strict adherence to safety protocols remains a priority. So we basically urge people to go through that government gazette and see what it says. Schools as well, they need to make sure that they apply it, but safety first. All right. Thank you so much, Elijah Mhlanga. He's the spokesperson for the Department of Basic Education, giving us details of what schools can do if they are unable to actually welcome back all their learners to face-to-face learning. But also he mentioned there, Ayanda, that the Minister of Basic Education, together with the MEC here in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, were expected to be here at this particular school, but also another school later on today. And due to an urgent matter, they are now unable to visit those two schools. Ayanda?
Moagi, thanks very much indeed. Live to us there from Ekurhuleni.